If you're curious about how this viral car animation has been made recently on social media, you're in the right place. In this video, I'll show you step by step how to create it in After Effects without using any plugins, covering the car's entrance from different angles, camera and lighting movements, and the scene's color and glow adjustments. Let's get started. Hello everyone and welcome to my channel. In this video, I'll show you step by step how to create the popular Instagram trend where cars come down from the sky and transition into cinematic camera angles using Adobe After Effects. Throughout the tutorial, we'll cover the entire process, from scene setup and camera movements to lighting and atmospheric details in a clear and practical way. By the end of the video, you'll be able to adapt this style to your own projects. If you enjoy the video, don't forget to like it and subscribe to the channel for more After Effects tutorials. Let's get started. First, let's create a new composition for our scene and give it a name. Set the composition size to 1080 by 1920, the frame rate to 30 frames per second, and the duration to 15 seconds. Once everything is set, click OK to create the composition. Now, drag and drop the sky image into our composition. Click the 3D box icon in front of the sky layer to convert it into a 3D layer. Press P on the keyboard to open the layer's position property and move it back on the Z-axis. Then press S to open the scale property and increase the size of the image. Now, let's add the second image to our scene and apply the same settings to this layer as well. The reason I'm using two different images is because we're going to add movement to the sky, and the scene needs to be longer in depth. Using two images helps extend the sky and prevents empty areas during camera movement. Now, let's smooth out the harsh transition where the two images meet. To do this, apply a mask to the bottom of the top image. In the mask settings, enable Inverted to reverse the mask effect. Next, go into Mask 1 and increase the feather to soften the transition. Finally, move the top image down slightly to remove the black gap between the layers. This way, the two images will appear as one seamless image. Now, let's match the color of the bottom image with the top one. Go to the Effects and Presets panel and apply the Curves effect to the image. Then, adjust the color settings to achieve a tone that closely matches the top image. This will create a more natural and seamless look between the two images. To add movement to the sky, first create a null object and make it 3D. Then select both images and parent and link them to the null object. With the null object selected, press P to open the position property and add a keyframe at the first frame of the timeline. This allows us to control the sky movement through the null object. Now, let's import the song we'll use into our scene. Open the audio settings and enable the waveform display. Move to the part of the song where it hits the beat and add a keyframe to the null object. Then, adjust the position of the sky layer to match the animation. This will create movement that is synchronized with the music. First, select all the keyframes and apply Easy Ease to make the movement smoother. Then, open the graph editor and adjust the speed of the animation as desired. Next, import our car model into the scene and give it an appropriate name. After naming it, click Make Comp Size to match the car's size to the composition. Now, let's set the anchor point of the car to its exact center. To do this, select the car layer and hold Ctrl while double-clicking the anchor point tool. This will automatically position the anchor point at the center of the car. First, press S on the keyboard to open the car's scale property. Then, hold Shift and press P and R to open the position and rotation properties. Now, use Scale to resize the car and adjust position and rotation to place the car correctly in the scene. Here, add keyframes to all of the car's properties. Then select the null object and press U on the keyboard to reveal the active keyframes. Move to the moment where the music hits and add keyframes again to all the car's properties. Now go back to the first keyframe and adjust the scale, position, and rotation values to create the car's entrance animation. Finally, move to the last keyframe and set the Y rotation value to -1. This will make the car rotate -360 degrees around its axis as it enters the scene. Now, select all the keyframes and apply Easy Ease. Then, open the graph editor and adjust the speed to match the movement of the sky. Since the animation speed starts from 0, the car reacts a bit too slowly at the beginning. To fix this, we move the starting keyframes outside the visible timeline. This way, the animation already has momentum when the scene begins, resulting in a smoother, stronger, and more music-driven entrance. Now, let's bring our helicopter model into the scene. Use Make Comp Size to match its size to the composition. Next, open the Position property and move the helicopter behind the car model to create depth. Increase its size using the Scale property. Once again, move the anchor point to the center of the model. Finally, quickly adjust the direction and position of the helicopter to place it correctly in the scene. Now, select the helicopter model and open the Rotation property. Move to the last frame where the car comes to a stop and add keyframes to the helicopter's position and rotation. Then go back a few frames and move the helicopter outside the scene. While the model is off-screen, adjust the rotation values so the helicopter enters the scene from the side instead of straight on. This creates a much more dynamic and cinematic entrance. Once again, select all the keyframes and apply Easy Ease. Then, open the graph editor and adjust the helicopter's entrance speed. You'll notice that the helicopter enters the scene a bit too fast. To smooth this out, I slightly move the keyframes backward in time. I'm also not completely satisfied with the helicopter's final position, so I make a few small adjustments to refine its placement and direction. Now, let's add the rotating propeller animation to the helicopter. Open the model's animation options and change the value from None to Animation. Once enabled, the helicopter's propellers will start rotating automatically. A quick reminder, this animation option is not available in every model, so make sure to check this when downloading your assets. Now, when the car and the helicopter come to a stop, we want the scene to have a subtle sense of motion. To do this, let's add a camera to the scene. Open the camera's position and rotation properties and add keyframes to both. Then, move to the 10-second mark on the timeline and slightly adjust the camera's position and rotation. Keep the movement subtle. This way, even when the car stops, the camera continues to move gently, creating a more natural and cinematic look. Now, let's do a quick preview and see how the scene looks. At this stage, watch the animation carefully and check for any issues or areas that might need improvement. Great, everything looks good so far. Now we've reached one of the most important parts of the scene, the lighting. To add a light, right-click in the scene, then choose New and Light. In the settings, change the light type to Environment and set the intensity to 100. Finally, make sure Casts Shadows is enabled so we get realistic shadows in the scene. Once everything is set, click OK to add the light to the scene. Now, we've added the light, but that's not enough by itself. To add more realistic lighting and environmental reflections to the models, I'm importing a pre-downloaded HDR into the scene. I turn off the visibility of the HDR layer. Then, in the light settings, I select HDR as the source to activate it. The reflections are now applied to the models, but this isn't the result I'm looking for yet. So, I adjust the direction of the light in the Transform section to better match the scene. Now we can't see the shadows on our models. To fix this, open the Advanced section at the bottom and go to Renderer Options. Keep the resolution setting at full 16 megabytes. Then click Fit to Scene to properly activate the shadows for the scene. Now the shadows are visible on the models, making the scene look much more realistic. Now press space on the keyboard to preview the scene. This allows us to check all animations, lighting, and shadows in real time. If there are any issues, we can identify and fix them at this stage. Now, let's make the scene blurred while the car enters and sharp when it stops. Go to Layer, New, Adjustment Layer, and name it Mosaic. Then in the Effects panel, select Stylize Mosaic. Set both values in the effect to 30. Finally, move to the frame where the car comes to a complete stop and trim the adjustment layer. This way, the scene will be blurred as the car enters and sharpen once it stops, creating the desired cinematic effect. Great! Our first scene is ready. As you know, in the animation, we'll see the car from multiple angles. That's why we need to create different scenes. Now, let's create a new composition and name it Scene 2, which will be our second scene. Now, let's add a different sky image to the scene. Enable the 3D feature for the new image. Next, open the Position property and move the image back along the Z-axis. Finally, open the Scale property and enlarge the image so it completely fills the scene. This sets up the background and adds a sense of depth, making the animation appear more realistic. Now, let's add the car model back into the scene. Then, move the anchor point to the exact center of the model, so rotation and position adjustments work correctly. Next, open the Scale, Position, and Rotation properties. You can adjust the angle of the car to whatever perspective you prefer. I'm currently setting the car to the most suitable angle for the scene. This ensures the car is positioned and oriented correctly in the scene. Now, let's add a camera to the scene. Open the camera's position and rotation properties and add keyframes. Next, move 10 seconds forward on the timeline and add subtle movements to the camera. This makes the car, which is already in the scene, appear more lively and natural. Then, go back to the first keyframe and add slight position and rotation keyframes to the car. Finally, go to the last keyframe and give the car very subtle movement. This way, the car in the scene looks dynamic and integrated with the motion, rather than completely static. Now, let's add light to the scene again. The settings will remain the same as before. Next, add our HDR image to the scene and select HDR as the source in the light settings. Then, in the Transform section, adjust the direction of the light to match the scene. Finally, go to Advanced Arrow Renderer Options at the bottom and click Fit to Scene. This applies the shadows correctly to the model. With these steps, our second scene is now fully prepared and ready. To keep the video concise, I won't go through each scene step by step. The reason is simple. The processes we applied are almost exactly the same across all scenes. The steps you saw in the previous scenes, placing the car and helicopter, adjusting position and rotation, creating keyframes, adding the sky and lighting, and supporting the scene with motion blur and shadows, are repeated in exactly the same way in the other scenes. So, even though I will show the scenes quickly, all settings and keyframe operations are applied the same way in each one. You will only notice the car and camera from different angles. This approach keeps the video short and engaging, while also making it completely clear and educational for the viewers. Great! All of our scenes are now ready. Let's create the final composition. Add the music to the scene. Due to copyright, you won't hear the music right now, but it is placed to perfectly match the scenes. Next, arrange all the scenes sequentially in the composition. This way, the flow of the video, the transitions between scenes, and the timing are fully prepared. At this stage, all scenes are now combined into a single timeline, ready for rendering. Finally, to make our video look more appealing and cinematic, we'll add a glow effect. First, create an adjustment layer in the scene and name it Glow. Then, in the Effects and Presets panel, apply the glow effect to this adjustment layer. Now, adjust the glow settings to suit the scene. Keep in mind, these settings can vary between different scenes, so don't use fixed values. Adjust them based on what looks best. This will make the scenes in our video brighter, more vibrant, and professional looking. Now, create another adjustment layer in the scene and name it Lumetri Color. Then, in the Effects and Presets panel, apply the Lumetri Color effect to this layer. Open the Basic Correction section in the effect and quickly adjust the colors of the scene. Here, we will tweak contrast, brightness, and color tones to make the video look more professional and vibrant. Finally, let's adjust the overall color mood of the scene. Create a new adjustment layer and name it Looks. Then, apply the Looks effect from the Effects and Presets panel to this layer. Now, go to the Edit section of the effect. Here, you'll find many built-in color presets. Choose the one that best matches your scene. I've already selected one beforehand, and I'll use that. A quick reminder, Looks is a paid plugin. If you don't have it, you can still achieve similar results manually using Lumetri Color. However, this plugin makes it much easier to get fast and cinematic results. With this step, the colors of our video are fully finalized, and the scene gets its final look. Now, let's make small adjustments to the glow effect. The goal here is to enhance the scene without overdoing it, keeping the look clean and balanced. I'm adjusting the glow values subtly, just enough to bring out the highlights. There are no fixed values here. This part depends entirely on your eye and the mood of the scene. Finally, let's enable motion blur on all layers in the scene. This makes the movement feel smoother and more cinematic. For the final color touch, I'll use the curves effect. By slightly reducing the white levels, we prevent overexposure and achieve a more balanced cinematic contrast. With this step, the video is now fully finalized and ready. And that's it! We've just created a viral car animation using After Effects only, without any plugins. I hope this video was helpful and educational for you. If you'd like to see more content like this, don't forget to like the video and subscribe to the channel. If you have any questions, feel free to leave a comment. See you in the next video!